On the governor's race, we've learned that Republican gubernatorial candidate Chris Christie has an ongoing financial relationship with the #2 prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office. Christie, U.S. Attorney before making his run for office, confirmed to NJN News today that he and his wife in 2007 took out a $46,000 mortgage for First Assistant U.S. Attorney Michelle Brown, for which the Christies are still being repaid monthly. Now, State House correspondent Zachary Fink is in our Newark bureau with more on this ongoing financial link. Zach?
Well, Jim, at the time that the loan was made, Christie was technically Michelle Brown's boss. However, he maintains that the two couples, Christie and his wife and Michelle and her husband, are friends and were friends outside of the office, that they live right near each other and see each other socially. NJN News obtained a document exclusively last week. When we first got wind of it, Christie was on vacation last week. He acknowledged today he was down the shore with his family. This was his first day back on the campaign trail, and we went to Christie and didn't want to blindside him with it. We basically asked for a private one-on-one meeting with the Republican gubernatorial candidate. We had a little bit of a back-and-forth exchange with the campaign. We eventually did meet with Christie in his SUV privately. We talked over the details, and then he did give us an exclusive one-on-one interview on camera. Basically, Christie maintains that there was nothing out of the ordinary about this agreement.
Christie, who was then the U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, took out the mortgage for Michelle Brown, who was then the #4 person in the office under Christie. Today, she is the first U.S. assistant, or the #2 person, under acting U.S. Attorney Ralph Mara. According to the public document obtained exclusively by NJN News, on October 22, 2007, Christie and his wife, Mary Pat, took out the mortgage note for $46,000. The note provides for Brown and her husband to make monthly payments to the Christies of $499.22 through the year 2017.
Michelle Brown came to me. She and her husband were having some financial difficulty. I spoke to her about it, and my wife and I, since she and her husband are friends of ours, decided to extend a loan to them back in 2007. We took a second mortgage on their house to secure the loan, and they've been paying the loan back ever since, regularly every month.
According to Christie, who was reluctant to discuss this publicly, out of what he said was concern for Brown and her husband, the two couples are close friends who live right near each other in Mendham, Morris County. Christie explained that it is Brown's second marriage, and the house is in her name only, not her husband's. That's why only her name appears on the document. Christie declined to discuss details of Brown's financial problems, but did acknowledge that the difficulties stemmed from Brown's husband losing his job and owing credit card debt.
Do you feel as though it's an unusual arrangement, given the fact that you were her boss at the time, to lend that kind of money to someone who was working for you?
No, I don't. And I will tell you that, I just believe that if you have friends who are in need, that you help them, whether they work with you or whether they are friends of yours from outside the work realm. We were happy to be able to help, and they've been great about repaying the loan.
Do you feel as though there is a connection now that you have to the office, given what the Democrats have been trying to throw at you just about your connection to the office? Some had implied that perhaps you had advanced knowledge of arrests, anything like that. She literally owes you money. Do you think it's an unusual arrangement that you're uncomfortable with now?
No, not at all, because I know the way the office operates, and I don't get any heads up on anything. The same way we didn't give heads up to people when I was there. It's just the way it works. This is a friendship, this portion of it, between me and Mary Pat and Michelle and Mike, and we loaned the money on that basis, and we never even really talked about it after it was done. They were making their payments. There was no reason to discuss it.
Last February, Democratic Congressman Frank Pallone sent this letter to the acting U.S. Attorney General asking whether or not Brown had permission to attend a political gathering with Republicans about Christie's campaign for governor. The Democratic New Jersey congressman also asked the Justice Department if her appearance violated any laws of conduct. We reached out to Brown for comment, but a spokesman for the U.S. Attorney's Office never got back to us. Some Democrats say Christie may have had an inkling that the arrests of 44 people, including public officials last month, were coming because he chose Kim Guadagno, a fellow prosecutor, as his running mate just a few days before. Christie denies that is the case and claims his financial arrangement with Brown does not represent a conflict.
Final point. Have you ever done that with anybody else who's not a relative?
I don't know that I've ever done that with anybody else who's not a relative and taken a mortgage back. We've loaned money to folks before in the past. Mary Pat and I both have, but I don't know that it's involved taking a mortgage back or not.
And just to reiterate, Christie was very concerned about going public with this. We did speak to him about it. He said specifically out of concern for Michelle Brown and her husband, but also once again, NJN News did obtain this document on the internet. It is a matter of public record and is out there for just about anybody to find, assuming that they know exactly where to look. I'm Zachary Fink, live in the Newark Bureau. Jim, back to you.
And Zach, you knew where to look. Thank you for that exclusive report.